Welcome everyone to my latest action figure review, as I have the Medicom Mafex Aquaman for Zack Snyder's Justice League version. And yes, this is a 2024 release. In case you didn't know, Medicom are reissuing all the members of the Justice League once again due to the popularity of the original figures, and the other main reason is because of the 2021 movie, Zack Snyder's Justice League. So I feel that for Superman, that was released first. It was the big change with the black suit. Same with Cyborg, they included the helmet version as well as his mechanical arms. For the other members, I must admit there wasn't really a need for them, but I'm not complaining. Since they were going to reissue the figures once again, they might as well do it in a new style and improve the figure. So really, to differentiate this version from the previous just by looking at it is of course the box once again. This is done in a black and white color design, which is nice because you can watch the Snyder Cut in the grey version. And the rest of it, we have the logos and of course the usual stickers on the box. And if I bring in the original one, you can see it's got all the colors. It just says Justice League. It's got all the logos of the members, and it's okay to have this version because at the end of the day it is just a figure, so this can still count as the Snyder Cut version if you have it. And looking at the side, of course, we have more logos and the titles, and the other side we have a full shot of the Mafex figure with the Justice League logo. And then at the back, of course, it is the figure in different poses. And just by looking at this photo, I can see there are some changes already. So inside we have this booklet to show you it's a genuine product. Also a stand attached to the packaging. And here is the Aquaman figure inside this packaging. So here is a first look at the Aquaman figure, the latest Medicom Mafex for Zack Snyder's Justice League. So first things first, this is another accurate representation of Aquaman, Arthur Curry. No real surprises in terms of the way they've designed it, because of course we had the original Justice League version and they've also released one for his solo movie version. So this is the third release of Jason Momoa, of course, for the Snyder Cut. Now the overall design of the suit is going to be very similar to the original if you have that version, so don't expect drastic changes. But in terms of the look of it on its own, I think it's a great looking suit. And in my opinion, I prefer it over the solo movie edition. And based on what I'm seeing, I think the proportions and the height is very similar to the original. I will bring that in to compare it. But looking at the design of the suit, of course, it is the same as the original one. I think the paint is probably done slightly better. Of course, the gold colors really shine on this suit. And even for the head sculpt, even though it's meant to be the same character, you can see that they've changed it slightly. So we can now bring in the original Justice League version if you have that. And based on what I'm seeing, of course, it is very similar. But of course, it does have its differences. Now, the new Snyder Cut version is slightly taller just based on what I'm seeing with the hands. And I think the paint is probably done a bit better as well. I think it pops a lot more. In terms of the proportions, it seems as though the neck is done better on the new one as well. It sits a bit better. This one kind of seems a bit short for me, and he doesn't really have a neck. And also the design of the actual face sculpt is slightly different. It's really personal preference what you prefer. This one probably looks a bit more like Jason Momoa, the new one once again. So I can see that Medicom have made improvements to this, but no doubt the original one is still a good figure. So looking at it in terms of first impressions, I like this, and especially if you don't have the original version, then go for this one instead of the old one. But of course, if you have the original one, then you got to think about it. And let's bring in the other two Snyder Cut versions by Medicom. So we have Superman, which of course is the major change with the black suit this time. That was a must release. And the other one was Cyborg, their second one, which they gave us the mechanical arms, which is a nice touch. So these are the three figures we have so far in the Snyder Cut. And Batman is releasing sometime in August, and they just announced The Flash, which is releasing next year. So the final one would be Wonder Woman, maybe sometime in 2026 maybe. So now we can take a look at the different accessories, starting off with the alternative hands. So the ones right out of the packaging is the closed fists. For the first set of alternative hands, we have a pair of relaxed palms. We also have a set of grappler hands, which of course can be used for the in-battle displays. And pretty standard, we have the hands to hold on to his main weapon, which will be the trident. And this is where the difference kicks in compared to the original Justice League version, as the fifth set of hands is the pointing of the fingers, and this was taken in the Snyder Cut when he points at Flash, so I do like this improvement. And now we can take a look at Aquaman's main weapon, which of course is the trident, and this is pretty standard by now in his action figures. So what you do is just remove the bottom and you can slip it through both the hands. Of course, in terms of displays, you can have it any way you want. It's pretty flexible. Maybe just hold it on the right hand or the left hand, and you can get him into some very cool displays. And in my opinion, you got to have the trident for Aquaman. I just feel that it seems a bit dull without it. So I guess most people would want this in their display. And based on what I'm seeing, it is the exact same sculpt as the original trident. Same design, maybe some changes to the paint, maybe not, I'm not sure. But based on what I'm seeing, there's no difference at all. And now for the alternative head sculpts, which of course is included for Aquaman, and you do need a bit of character for the displays. So once again, let's have a look at the original face sculpts compared to the previous one as well. You can see there is an improvement in terms of the standard look. And then for the alternative head sculpt of the original Justice League version, we had this angry look. So of course for the new Snyder Cut version, it's the same. We're going to have an angry face sculpt, which I'm going to change up now. And here it is. So we have the slightly gritted teeth shown, and compared to the old one, you can see it is slightly changed. In my opinion, maybe even the old one looks better in some angles, but of course the new one is just as good. So it's really personal preference what you prefer, but this is pretty much a must for Aquaman in my opinion. And one extra bonus is that we have the second alternative head sculpt, whereas the original Justice League version only included one. And this is another angry look of Arthur Curry, slightly more of a mouth open, I guess, for his shouts or his chants. So it's kind of like an extra bonus, but I do prefer the original angry face over this one. But it's a nice touch they've included an extra one, which once again improves the figure. And one final accessory is the mother box, which is one of the three. So we've already seen it for the Cyborg figure, and the second one is of course for Aquaman, just like the original releases, because the Atlanteans were guarding this version. And of course I assume when the Wonder Woman figure comes out, that will have the third mother box, which of course is guarded by the Amazonians. So it's pretty much a very standard look, and I would say that it's the exact same one as the previous version. Maybe some changes to the paint, but you can't really tell the difference. It's practically the same mold. So this is a nice touch of course, and definitely nice to have in your display. And now for the articulation, so the movement of Aquaman. So obviously he has long hair, so just be very careful when rotating the head sculpt. It may have some sort of limitations, so you can move it side to side anyways, and it can also tilt left and right, and then downwards a lot better, and then upwards this much. And there's also rotation on the neck. And then for the arms, we have the shoulder pads, which can be moved upwards, so it allows the arms for smooth articulation. So as you can see, rotates really well round and round, and then outwards slightly, and then it has inwards motion. And we have the rotation on the forearm as well as the bicep, and we have the full arm bend, and then we have rotation on the hands, and there's a hinge as expected. And then for the body, of course, there's rotation for the top half, very smooth, and it can move it side to side, forwards crunch as well, backwards for those swimming poses. And then for the waist, out of the box it is slightly more stiff, so just be careful. It can rotate side to side, and then upwards and forward crunch. Of course, not much gaps here, which is good. And it can turn side to side. And then for the legs, pretty standard I guess. Kicks forwards, backwards, does a full rotation. They stretch side to side. And there's also the knee bend, which is also very important. And then we also have the foot, which I'm guessing is standard, so upwards, downwards, side to side and the toe hinge. So in terms of the way the figure feels in the articulation, it's very similar to the original version, maybe because over time the old one has looser joints, but other than that I think it moves kind of the same way. So yeah, it's fine I guess for the articulation. And now for the comparisons. So let's start off with the Medicom Mafex Aquaman. So the one on the left once again is the original Justice League version, and the one on the right is for his solo movie edition. And here it is standing next to the Medicom Mafex mirror from the first movie, as well as the recent SH Figuarts Aquaman from the sequel Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And here it is next to the two Medicom Mafex Zack Snyder's Justice League versions of Superman as well as Cyborg, and now we're waiting for the other three members. And here it is next to some SH Figuarts Justice League members with Batman and Wonder Woman. And next to two other popular lines with a Marvel Legends Spider-Man and the Jada Toys Ryu. So now for my final thoughts on the Mafex Aquaman for Zack Snyder's Justice League. This is obviously a nice addition to the collection if you don't have the original one, since it's almost the same figure but with some slight upgrades. The overall design of the suit is well painted as well, and I feel the proportions are slightly better this time. I also like the new faces, as we get 3 in total, which is 1 more than the original. They've also tried to make this unique to only the Snyder Cut by adding the pointing of the fingers, which is nice, and I guess they've done their best efforts to make this very different. And recently we did see some Rush Nations add water effects for their Aquaman figure. I did think if something like that could work for this one, but I feel the bright blues may not suit it for this version, if that makes any sense. Maybe they could have added some effects to the trident, but who knows. So overall I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. It's not a must compared to the Superman figure of course, or even Cyborg, especially if you have the original one, but if you're looking for a first Aquaman for the Justice League, then definitely go for this one. Hit the links in the description below for my SE Figuarts Aquaman review. Also use the affiliate link to browse some of the latest Medicom Mafex figures. Thanks for watching and hope to see you next time.